Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ignite Africa, where we bring a host of Africans and diasporas who are doing everything to impact the society in a positive way. And have we done that again? Today we have a special guest. He is a college senator, he is a vice chairperson for the college senate. He is a political aspirant, and most importantly, he's a writer and a man of God. He's someone who's very energetic, who's very passionate, who's very interested in changing people and the world around him. And today, I believe he has a lot in his bag for every one of you out there. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Senator Bright Igbinigun.
It's a pleasure being
Senator Igbinigun.
I appreciate it, sir.
How are you doing today?
Fine, sir.
Welcome on Ignite Africa. It's a pleasure having you on Ignite Africa. We don't usually have, politicians on the show. We've had a host of fashionistas. We've had NGO directors. But today, now we're having a political aspirant and an activist, and also a writer. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm a Nigerian. I'm based in New York here, in the Bronx. And I was born in Nigeria. I grew up in Nigeria, went to high school in Nigeria, went to college in Nigeria for 3 years. Then after that, I decided to come over here. So my parents are here, but my dad is back home. My dad is back in Nigeria. So yeah, that's a short background of me and our siblings.
So all this period while you were in Nigeria, did you see yourself, looking back, 10 years ago, did you see yourself making all this powerful moves you're making now?
Well, there's a saying that says the journey of 1,000 miles begins from in a day or something like that. Mm-hmm. So this book, I actually started working on it back in Nigeria when I was in college, but I was just writing out of whatever itch.
The book is a special stuff for the audience. We will get to the book.
Okay.
Yeah, we will definitely get to the book. But I was just saying, where you are now, because okay. I read through your biography, and I see things you've done, and like I said, they are very powerful. So I was just, I meant maybe, did you see yourself doing this 10 years ago? All the things you're doing now?
I haven't really seen myself picturing it like this. But one thing that has kept me going is keeping the balanced mentality, keeping a picture. I always know I'm going to end well. I understand. I've always kept that picture, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. But I've always dreamed. I have a dream of a better tomorrow.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, so do you have a role model that you look forward to, that you look up to, that serves as your personal guidance?
Yeah, I have a couple of role models. Take for example, my pastor is my role model. I like his passion for the gospel and how he leads people. You understand? And he's a man that he has the wisdom of a leader. You understand? Mm-hmm. I like his administrative skills. Yeah, but coming to politics, coming to activism. The story of Martin Luther King actually touched me much because I'm a political science student. Mm-hmm. I study all of these people. I study activism and all of social activism. So the story of people like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King actually inspired me because I like people that like to stood up for what they believe. Yeah,
and actually change the world because they did great things. So, what is politics to you?
In one of my articles that I'm putting together, I define politics as politics is leadership. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the word of Maxwell, according to Maxwell says leadership is all about influence.
I like that.
You understand? It's all about influence. So I kind of relate and weigh politics from in my own perspective, and I define politics to be leadership, because politics is a means through which you influence people. You understand? And although other authors may define politics in different ways, like politics is an authoritative allocation of values for the society, and politics is who get what, when, and how. But I personally see it in my own perspective as leadership. And is becoming is a step toward leadership, or becoming a leader.
All right, that's very powerful, especially when you say politics is leadership. I believe that, and I believe the audience also agree with that too. So when it comes to now coming to your book of poems, the book I Must Return Home.
Yeah.
What really inspired that topic? I mean, the book title. What made you title your book I Must Return Home?
Well, the title I Must Return Home is one of one of the message of the book, and let me say, permit me to say, it was by the inspiration of God. Though I had a lot of struggle, trying to restrain from titling that book the way it is, but the picture that I got from titling the book is because I want to encourage everyone, Nigerians in diaspora, whether you Pakistan in diaspora, Palestine in diaspora, Dominican in diasporas, or wherever you may come from, wherever you are in the world, and then they need to go back home to make impact. And start to make impact. So let me make this clear before my audience gets the message wrong. I am not. When I mean return home, returning home does not necessarily mean that everyone must pack their bags and go home and go stay at home and stay in Nigeria or stay in the Dominican Republic. But returning home implies making impact in your own country where you're from, in order to develop your country and at least reduce the level of poverty in your country.
Poverty, corruption, anything that's bad.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that comes from. I'm seeing it from the aspect of the former President Barack Obama, when he said, "The change you seek starts with you."
That's true.
So that means if you want to make that change, you have to go back home, or it has to start from within you, and then you'll be able to make that change. That's actually very, very insightful. So, how many poems do you have in total in the book of poems?
In the book, there are 33 poems there. 33 poems are, as you know, one of the central message of the book is political. The book is a political satire with 33 poems. Although some of those poems actually relate to other stations of life. So,
out of those 33 poems, do you think you have any favorite, or one that you think speaks more personally or more deeply to you?
Well, the book, the 33 poems, from the first poem of the book is titled "Falling Walls." Understand why the last title of the book is titled "We Can Together Raise the Wall." So, and in the midst of at the middle, there are also other poems that refers that's together, carry the same central message with the beginning and the ending. So I actually do not have a personal a favorite one, because they work in unison, they work together to achieve the same message.
I understand that. So I believe the audience also understand that part too. So when it comes to poetry and writing, what made you choose the line of poetry in this book?
Well, for this book, well, you see, I have this is something I found myself doing. I think I found myself doing it with ease, and I have been doing it even when I have not even made up my mind to publish, even thinking of publishing it. But when I was back, especially when I was in college in Nigeria, there's this desire to write poems, sit down. So I was just taking as a way of sensitizing critical thought, and just put my thoughts to books, in writing. So I've been doing it for a couple of times. When anything just hinge me, or maybe I'm in a bad mood, somebody got me pissed off, I like to just put it into poems and write. You understand? So all of those things is what. So I haven't done that. After some reflections, I noticed that, oh, look at what I have done so far, and it's poetry, a lot of poems.
And how long was this? How long ago was this, or has this been?
Since I've been writing this, like, let me say, since 5 years ago. Although,
5 years?
Yes, 5 years ago, although there have been breaking transmission sometimes.
Actually, I'm trying to bring something up, because that's one of the purpose of this, this TV event, because we want to bring Africans in diaspora doing making this change that we all seeking, and showing people that you actually can do it by persistent. Now, this is not something that you did in 1 day or 1 month. It's 5 years. So that's 5 years of dedication. So, audience, this simply tells you that if you could stay persistent, or if you could stay dedicated to something, you could actually achieve it, even if it's 5 years or 10 years, as long as you stay focused. So, do you have another book that you've already started working on, or you just put this out there and you're like, oh, let me just take a break and see how this works?
Well, this book this book is where I lament the disillusion and of our nation, understand, in which I lament all of those things, and the poverty. So there's another book in progress where I decided to strike a balance, so it won't just be this book talks about to decry the actions of politicians, understand, and those who are the 1% of the country. But after some time, I have to take a deep reflection and see why we are where we are today. And I came to the conclusion that political apathy is a big reason why we are where we are today, why we are stagnant.
Whatever you just said, just say it again, because I want that to sink in. All right, just say political apathy. Yeah,
political apathy. Understand, the lack of interest in leadership, the lack of interest in political participation, and has really been detrimental to our nation. So right now I'm working on a book titled "From Whipping to Politics."
Okay.
Yeah. So it's similar to this book, but this time I'm focusing on the electorate, on those who are on the masses. You know, let me put it that way.
Is it also a book of poems?
Yeah, it's also a collection of poems. It's also a collection of poems.
Okay. All right. Now, I understand you're from Nigeria, and each time you say politicians or political aspirants or people in power, you know, if you check the age gap or the age range of those in power in Nigeria, they're usually very old. It's like 70s, 80s. You got to be around that age for you to hold power. It's just now that we have young people coming and, you know, aspiring to take political positions. So your poem, do you think it speaks to a certain age group, or do you think it's for everyone in general?
Well, the message of the book, everyone in high school, I think high school should be like, I think 13, 14 years. Teenagers. Who are in high school that takes, if you're in Nigeria, you take subjects like government, social study, and there's the one that's called arts or civic education, and so you can from that level, from that stage, the book is meant for you, because you study the governmental structure of the nation. So when this book will also help you to understand the governmental structure, what is happening in the society also. So from that age onward to whatever age, to 100 years as the case may be, the book is for you.
Okay. So are you planning on a revised edition for this book, or just you're working on your second book?
Right now, for now, the plan is to balance what I have written here. Understand, to talk about how the responsibility of the masses, of the citizens, towards making change. So right now, I'm not intending to reverse it, but to write another book to strike a balance.
To strike a balance, okay. So, where do you see yourself in the next decade, in the next 10 years? Or where do you see your books, you know, not just this book now, this one and the next one you're writing? Where do you, how much of penetration do you think they will make, or how much of impact do you see yourself making in the next 10 years?
With this one that I have written, no one can deny the fact that Nigeria is going through economic quagmire. No one can deny the fact that there is a need to go back home and rescue Nigeria, especially when I mean rescue Nigeria from poverty and the political corruption. So with this book, I believe from now to generations to come, is a book that will impact lives, and that people will see and reflect and know that I share in their pain, even though I live far away from Nigeria, but I still share in their pain. And it talks about empathy. Understand? I still share in their pain, and I believe I believe every parent will be happy to see a child that loves them. Understand, that still cares about them despite the distance, that is always wants to visit home, still talks about home. So this book will impact the life of people, both old and young, and also correct their mentality and towards politics, and knowing that there is their need for civic engagement.
Yeah, very powerful, very powerful. So if there's something, if there's a message that you want your audience right now to hold on to, especially after this interview, if there's something that you want them to remember after this, what do you think, what would that be? Okay,
I would like to start from the first poem that opens the book, which says "Falling Walls." And although it's not in news, it's not in news that the walls are falling, but I want to draw the audience attention to the fact that the walls are falling. And the poem says, "Call those gone before, that our walls are falling, and now they are being climbed by goats."
That's all right. You see, when you say something like this, I wish I had enough time for you to say like 3 times, because I want people out here to learn.
Okay.
Yeah. So whatever you just said, just say it again so that they could always remember. I want it to echo into their, to echo in their minds.
The introduction of the poem says, "Call those gone before, that our walls are falling, and now they are being climbed by goats. Goats who did not come close then." So the call is where I lament the pain of those freedom fighters, those who are those nationalists, those Pan-Africanists, those who have fought for the independence of Nigeria. I feel those people fought from a good heart.
Yeah, that's true.
To make sure Nigeria is independent today, but the experience today is contradictory. So the pain of, when I remember, so each time I make reflect over this, it pains me, and that's why I decided to. This and other reasons makes me to pen my pen on paper, to talk about it. That there were people who fought for what we are enjoying today, but instead of building on what we already achieved, the independence, but it's like taking us back to colonialism again. It's like we are being colonized by our own people in our own nation. So that's one. Then coming along the line, or another thing that I would like audience to take from it is the dead need for civic engagement. Understand? That's why, even though
it's very important.
Yeah, even though the title of the book says "I Must Return Home," in which I spoke from a first-person point of view, but what that book simplifies is the dead need for collective actions. The poem says, "I must return home to make the crop smile again, to bid sorrow adieu, understand, to say bye-bye to poverty, and to make sure the crops grow. So I use all of those metaphoric imagery to paint the picture, to make sure the crop smiles again, meaning that so that I'll restore hope, to the nation, to Nigeria, to restore hope to Nigeria. So that's one. So the need for collective actions, activism, protest against whatever is wrong, and to lament the actions of government by taking steps also. So another central message of the book is a letter to diaspora. Letter to diaspora is where I encourage those Nigerians in diaspora. You understand? Even though I say Nigerians in diaspora, doesn't mean the book is Nigerian. It's Nigerian. Yeah, without Dominicans in diaspora, Pakistan in diaspora, Pakistan in diaspora. So this is where I encourage diasporans, those in diaspora, to make impact to their country. Nigerians in diaspora to make impact to Nigeria from wherever you are in the world. The poem says, let the stocks return, let the herons return. So herons, stocks, and all of those things, let the egrets return. They are all birds. So I use that to depict, to explain, to emphasize people returning home fly back home from wherever you are to make impact in Nigeria, so to ensure that the level of poverty is reduced in Nigeria. So that's that. So, and with the poem "We Can Together Raise the War," which is the last poem of the book, is where now is an addition to a letter to diaspora, in which I try to to explain to my audience, Nigerians in diaspora, to understand that we can together build our nation from wherever we are. We can together raise the wall that has fallen down, which started from chapter 1, the first point. So that we can together raise those walls that are falling down by making impact. Understand? By making impact, by sending our resources home to make impact in our nations, and not just staying here and feel we are safe already because we crossed the border already. So there's a line in the poem that says, letter to diaspora, that says, we are not victims. We are not victims of the fall, or the fall of the war. We are not victims of the fall, but we can together raise the war. We can raise the war together, even though we are not victims of it. Even though we've crossed, understand? We are those that escaped the bullet of poverty cocked from the guns of power. Understand? So even though we are not experiencing it now, but our mom is at home. So I use mom and dad in the place to depict, to explain our people, our fathers back home, our mom back home, Nigerians, the suffering which has made the suffering and the pains, the agony in Nigeria, which has made tears to become their daily bread. So in order to put an end or reduce it to the barest minimum, there is then need for Nigerians in diaspora to make impact to Nigeria from wherever we are. So because if we keep looking at the leaders only who are corrupt already, then we will remain where we are. And we will never get to where we desire to be.
That's well, everything you just said is what this talk show is all about. Calling people in diaspora to make that impact that needs to be made back home. At this point, because everything you said is like people should engage themselves in to become more engaged in political events around them, to become more enlightened, to become more participating. So I was going to ask you, do you have any political aspiration? But I figured that would be the wrong question. So I'll just ask you, what exactly, if you want to share it with us, is your political aspiration? Growing up as a young man, and as a minister of God, I've seen this notion in the body of Christ that it is not good. Politics is not meant for. If you're a Christian, you don't need politics and all of those things. You are not supposed to be participating in politics. I think I heard that too. I heard something like that too.
Yeah, because people always mislead the term being a politician. And so to be a politician is a step towards leadership, like I said earlier. So I want to also be part of those that will set an example, being a minister and also engaging in the governance, showing interest in the governance of my country, understand, in the governance of the world, understand, because it is to be a Christian does not deprive you of leadership, of taking responsibilities, because the Bible says when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. So these, because of the apathetic behavior of most of these Christians and other people who think it is wrong that if you want to live a righteous life, don't get into politics. That is why we keep voting in for the wrong people, getting into power, and yet they sit back at the end and cry, the politicians did.
It still boils down to the fact that the change you want to make starts with you. So with Aspiration, I intend to be part of the political processes. I want to know more about the governmental processes of my country, and be part of it, engage and make sure we achieve the desired change instead of sitting back and cry and lament like every other person. Yeah, that wouldn't change anything. Yeah, that wouldn't change anything. So it's been an honor having you, especially on the show, and also I believe the audience have learned a lot from you. And I believe at this point, I have to just put the word out there that if you can stay dedicated to a cause, you will definitely reap the fruits of your labor, because he is a proven evidence to the fact that if you can just stay focused on your goals, you will definitely make that change. And he's just coming up, and he's done a whole lot. I can't even imagine. I wish I could just let you know the picture I'm thinking of in my head right now of you in the next 10 years. It's way bigger than what you are thinking of. But like I said, it's a honor having you here on Ignite Africa. Senator Bright Igbinigun.
I appreciate it. It's my pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking questions from the audience. Our first question will be coming from the Student Life Specialist, Ms. Tiffany Duban.
Hello. Hi, Dapo. Nice to see you, Bright. Good seeing you.
My pleasure.
Okay, so, Bright, my first question to you would be, for a reader who isn't really interested in poems or can't really relate to poetry, how will you be able to market to that audience your book?
One of the strategy, some of the strategies, not one, that we try to make sure the audience gets the message clearly is through the preface. The preface was meant to simplify the book, which is the introduction to the book, in which we try to explain clearly what the book is all about. Another way an audience can relate to the book is through the foreword, which was written by Professor Julie Bove of Bronx Community College. So the prefix and the foreword actually do justice to the simplification of the book, in order to define clearly what the book is all about.
Speaking of the pieces in the book, can you choose a piece in your book that you can maybe go a little bit further into details regarding the hardships in it?
You mean the hardship in Nigeria? In
your writing.
Okay.
And what you describe in that.
One of the poems in the book that talks about hardship is the poem that I titled Hyenas. In which I lament the poverty of the economy. Understand? In which I talks about a pauper who is at the extreme end of the world, and he felt lonely, and he didn't receive any help from anyone in a nation where the land is green. The land is green in the sense that Nigeria is a blessed country, and our nation is blessed. But even though it was in a country where in a land flowing with milk and honey, he died poor. Understand? So all through his life, all through his days, the man didn't receive help from anybody. he breathed his last breath in the thatched roof.
Oh, wow.
You understand? So he left all his life in the thatched roof where snakes were neighbors, as the point, according to as stated in the point, where snakes were neighbors, meaning the snakes as neighbor indicates that to the extent of which the man was really poor. Understand? To the extent that, which means he was living in a thatched roof, a secluded place, different from every other person. It was at the World M Street corner.
Oh.
You understand? So now this man died. He lived all his life as a pauper and died. When he died, so now those who knew him, now it is after his death we now see that this man was actually a friend and a brother to the bourgeois, those who are wealthy in the society, even to the politicians in the society. But and meanwhile, this man constantly voted in every election. So even though he was a good electorate, he fasted to death. Even the fasting there means that he lives a life. He was hungry until he hungered till death. So now after his death, he was given a befitting burial. Understand? It was given a befitting burial to the extent that everyone ate, they drank, and the garbage leftovers. But meanwhile, the person that we are celebrating giving a befitting burial never had chance or never had the opportunity of eating 3 square meals a day. So these are the situations. These are the things that pinched me, and these are and other reasons made me pay my pain to address the economic poverty of Nigeria. So even though I was using the pauper as a case study, but this is the circumstances that is before us in Nigeria today, of which people are poor in the midst of wealth. Understand? In the midst of all the blessings, all the resources in Nigeria, but most people are still living poor because the leaders and some who have economic power, economic resources have siphoned this wealth to themselves, and transfer this wealth to themselves only by through all means, by taking the wealth of the nation to their own personal accounts worldwide, all over the world. Understand? So this was what pinched me to talk about the poverty from the poem Hyenas. So with the title Hyenas, I actually coined that title because the animal hyenas is an animal that is more or less like a vulture that rejoices at every news of death. You understand? That feast on carcass. So I use the title hyenas to point to the fact that because these people rejoice after the death of the man, so I call them hyenas.
Yeah, it was that metaphor, definitely. Wow, thank you. My last question would be: you mentioned, this type of lifestyle is worldwide. It happens in several other countries, and poetry is a great avenue and a great tool for many people. Would you be interested, or are you looking to collaborate with other authors that have published books similar to yours with the same theme of injustice and poverty within their countries?
It would be a pleasure. It would be a pleasure for me to co-author with every other authors in the world, and even unborn authors, because whatever it takes to right the wrongs of the society, that would be my joy. You understand? Whatever platform it takes, if it takes co-authoring, if it takes appearing before audience to speak, whatever means, collective actions, I'm always ready to make sure, as long as the message gets across to the people, and it will be a pleasure unto me.
Well, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Tasha.
How are you?
Hi, Natasha.
Hi. So I just wanted to ask, you mentioned an uneven distribution of wealth amongst your within your country. And it seems to be from a conflict perspective. How do you think this uneven distribution of wealth contributes to the problem?
Well, I believe everyone will agree with me that in a nation or in a place where, or in a society where the wealth of the nation, or Nigeria would say the national cake of the nation is
That's very true.
so
National cake.
so is in the hands of few people who care less about the suffering of the people. Such a nation is going to be will always experience there will always be a political dystopia. There will always be unhappiness in such a nation, because that is where we are today. That is where we are. That is the cause of the poverty, because there is no free flow of the economic resources to the different different levels, areas, to different states. There's no let me say there is no democracy, and any even though we claim to practice one, and in any nation where democracy is suspended, there is always bound to be corruption and underdevelopment.
Is that what you meant in your poem, Crippled by Siblings?
Yes. The poem Crippled by Siblings is actually a poem where I did a deep reflection, and after a deep reflection, I came to this conclusion that the pain in Nigeria wouldn't have been so the sore wouldn't have been that high, wouldn't have been that big, if Nigerian leaders were doing what they're supposed to do. So I came to this conclusion that the pain in Nigeria were inflicted on us by fellow Nigerians. It's not because maybe some foreigners came over to exploit us. So even though we went through colonialism and all of those things, but we gained independence in the year 1960. So from 1960 from now, if our leaders were doing what it takes to build on the success we've had, then Nigeria would have been a better place for everyone. So Crippled by Siblings is it starts with the introduction. Were you there? Where were you when we were where we were? So that rhetorical question that is rhetoric, and there's also an element of alliteration there, in which I try to ask the leaders, those corrupt leaders, where were you when those who fought for freedom in the time past, those who fought for independence, were fighting this fight? But now today we are free. We claim to be independent, but there is still a high level of should I say slavery. Understand? So crippled. The word crippled there is the word I used to depict slavery. Understand? Because we are in dead need of liberation. So that's basically the concept of the poem, and I want to encourage the leaders on the dead need to take a deep reflection and see this nation the way I see it, and they see it from the perspective of and see of the less privileged, and reach out to the less privileged and make the country a better place for everyone by fulfilling their electoral promises. Yeah.
I have one more question, I'm sorry. Do you believe it's necessary to leave your country in order to promote restoration?
To leave? You mean to leave Nigeria? In order for you
do you believe the solution is to leave? Do you think it's necessary to leave and then come back?
Traveling, they said, is part of education, and it's exposure. There's a dead need for exposure, but in as much as there's a dead need for exposure, there's a dead need to don't get too exposed and forget where you come from. So I'll take for example people like us, Nigerians in diasporas. I'm one of them. So I am here. So my knowledge and my knowledge and experience in the first world, in first world countries, like in let me say United States to be specific, my knowledge about how things works here will help to shape my mentality. And same with every other diaspora and every other Nigerians in diaspora. We help to shape their mentality on how to make a difference in their society, knowing that we are not where we ought to be. So traveling and returning back home. I must return home is about departing and returning, so that you can come back and make impact in your nation. So without the exposure, it will be hard for us to leave the bondage that we are in. And so you departing and returning makes you to get the skills that it takes, whatever it takes, to change the status quo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tasha.
I appreciate it. It was the best.
All right, tell us about the love poem in your book.
Well, one of the love poems there is the poem titled A Beauty of No Guilt. In that poem, I try to appreciate the beauty of God with some metaphors. And all things made by God are perfect. But the book was actually written from the writer's creative imagination, meaning that there was no specific person at her mind, but it was just one of the beauty of poetry, one of the beauty of literature is the ability to think behind bars and create something. So that was so I tried to appreciate create a person and appreciate the person.
Wow.
Understand? Appreciate
Creative imagination creates a person, the beauty of a girl. Do you have the poem right there on your iPad?
Yes.
Can you just read the first 4 lines, please, to the audience?
A beauty of no guilt. At Times Square was Eve. She gave the smile of a dove. A beauty to behold. A beauty of no guilt. That won the souls of multitude. They all stole glances at her. The fragrance of her beauty I could not fathom. No daughter of Eve ever caught my heart. Maybe she was born on a Monday after God rested.
All right, thanks. I don't want us to let all the cat out of the bag, okay? Let's keep some things, because the little you've given them. All right, let's keep them in suspense, okay? Everyone has to be in suspense at this point. So if they want the full version, they need to, what do they have to do?
Get the book.
Get the book. I was going to ask you, if we want to get the book, how do we get the book?
So the book is available on Amazon. I published with CreateSpace, the paperback, and the ebook was published with Kindle. So the book is available both ebook and paperback. So it's on Amazon. They can order and they can also read online.
Okay. All right.
So in addition, the book is also on Okada Books for those who live in Nigeria, so they can read on Okada Books because it may be expensive. The cost of buying online from Amazon, the expenses might be too much. So the ebook is available on Okada Books.
All right. In a nutshell, something came to my mind. There's this poem. I think it's titled Heartbreaker. Can you just tell us the entire idea behind you writing that? Because I understand that poem is also very insightful. And the message there is very deep. So just tell us what really inspired you to write that poem.
Well, being that I grew up in Nigeria, I have siblings, I have friends, I have people that live in the same community with me, and I see people graduate every day. Unlike Nigerians, parents would do anything to take you to train you in school. Go borrow money from people, friends, and relations, from wherever means it takes. Some do farming and all of those things to make sure they send their children to school.
That's true.
So pay your school fees, pay for hostel accommodations and all of those things. So but the pain that that came across my heart, what I see there that is common in Nigeria is that most students graduate from school after 4 years in school. Some 7 years in school, and came out from school without a job. After school, no job, no place for employment, because there's no jobs created in the society. So after 4 years, students go for a year of service to serve the nation. You understand? Making it 5 years, to making it 5 years in school and all of those things. serving the nation. But the worst part of it is that these people graduate from school and don't get employed. And meanwhile, generations keep people still striving to go to school and make the best out of their life. But at the end, it looks as if the old school fees that they were paid to go to school would have been better if they have used it to get something else, do something else with their life, or probably create a business. But even though that's not in my poem, but the pain is that people are not being employed after graduation. Most of them end up riding bikes around. You say graduates riding bikes around. You understand what's called Okada in Nigeria. So all of these things, I reflected on all of these things, and it wasn't a good thing to me, and it didn't bring me joy, but rather it brought me pain. And that's why I decided to put the pen on paper for Nigerians and the leaders to know, and because I want this message to get to the leaders so that they will know that so that they can right their wrongs also, and for the masses and the citizens of Nigeria, so that they know that even if I live far away, I share in their pain.
Okay. Oh, that's very.
Yeah. In
thoughtful.
addition to that, of recent, I saw a friend of mine in Nigeria went for an interview for a job. The guy studied economics, and after a year of service, went for an interview, but so he was asked for experience, for 5 years of experience. So meanwhile, this guy just graduated, understand, and there's no way he could possibly have experience and all of those things. So I saw the guy post something on Facebook like, why these people are asking me for 5 years of experience? I spent 4 years in school and a year of service. Isn't that 5 years? So why? What experience do they need? So these are the issues. These are people get denied from jobs and all of those.
Yeah,
things.
it's like in your word, it's a menace.
Yeah, it's a menace.
It's something that happens, It happens everywhere. Even I see it in America too. Like employers want experience from someone that's like fresh out of college, which is very, it's like one-sided. It's not like an opportunity for everyone. But I believe the youths are also finding ways to like gather those experiences, even while in school.
Yeah.
We have youths that are having, all this genius mind, entrepreneurial mind, and they're really breaking through all these barriers.
Yeah.
And hopefully, shows like this will give them more insight on how to break through barriers like that, and how to start taking responsibility and making the changes needed in their own lives by themselves, and they won't have to wait for an employer or the government or any other person to provide them with jobs.
Yeah.
All right. So now, if we want to reach out to you, how do we reach out to you? Do you have social media accounts?
I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. I use WhatsApp.
And what's the name on Facebook and Instagram?
So my name is Bright, first name and last name.
That's your name on Facebook?
Yeah.
And on Instagram too?
Same thing on Instagram.
Same thing on Instagram too.
Yeah.
And
so you can email me if you have any consign at bright.grace10@gmail.com.
Okay, definitely. I'm very sure the audience can't wait to do that, because they always that's what they always do, to reach out to people we bring on the show. So it's been a wonderful time having you on the show once again.
I appreciate it once more.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. We hope you've gained a lot by listening to him. We hope everything that he said unto you, his lifestyle, his products, his book, we hope you're going to do everything in your power to get that book, read it, digest it, and most definitely it's going to, there'll be a change in your life, a positive change. It's a book that would emancipate the way you think, that would, liberate your way of thinking, and that way you'll be able to start, the change that you seek in the government. You will get to realize that change actually starts with you, and you'll be able to, not just start thinking about the change, but start activating yourself. That's the action process towards that change, and that's why that's the goal of the show, to make sure you don't just think about the change, but also put yourself into action, and bring that change that you seek, and also get yourself to the better place that you're supposed to be. So thank you once again for being our audience. Thank you for coming on Ignite Africa, and thank you to our guests also.
My pleasure.
Yeah, have a good one.